Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS Slate Breakdown for Thursday, September 7th. That is right, we are still here. NFL is starting today, but we're still here with MLB Breakdown, and we will be breaking down today's slate. It's a little bit of a shorter one, but it should be an interesting one. Yesterday's slate was wild with Strider getting shelled. He was the chalk and just did not handle. So major leverage to those St. Louis bats, and that is what propelled several people to win. So we will start off with going over yesterday's perfect lineups and winning lineups. Then we will go into the pitcher ownership and pitchers to consider, followed by some stacks. Now, before we get into it, got to bring up the fact that it is the first week of NFL. First game is tonight. And with that, you need to go bargain hunting. There are a ton of sportbook offers out there trying to give some free money away. Take advantage of them. One of the ones that I do have to bring up is Chalkboard. They will match up to $300. 100% match up to $300. So if you put in $300, they put in $300. You got $600 to bet with. That is a real nice way to start your bankroll. You also get 1 month free and join LineStar when you use our promo code here with LineStar. All right, let's jump into it. Let's get into the fun. Oops, I actually almost blew that. Trying to go right to it. All right, so perfect lineup. We got Toussaint, we got Verlander, 2-man Cardinal stack, 2-man Oriole stack, almost took up all the money. And then the winning lineup went to BG or B Gress, won by almost 6 points. Had Gibson, had Toussaint, 5-man St. Louis stack, and then one off. So they got really contrarian. The St. Louis stack was just insanely low owned versus Strider, and it came through, and this guy won $50K because of it. So congrats to you. Now let's move on to FanDuel. FanDuel, we got Verlander, we got Astros and Orioles stack. And then the winning lineup went to Colorado Rocks 93. Verlander took it home for him. And then a 3-man Houston, 3-man Baltimore, 2-man St. Louis stack got it done. And they were just super, super contrarian. Only one player at over 10%, and that was at 10.2%. Everybody else below, Verlander under 5%, Brantley at 2%, and Goldschmidt at 2%. Just a wild, wild lineup. Extremely contrarian, and he won by like 14 points or something like that. So congrats to you, Colorado Rocks. You got it done. Now, let's get into the ownership. So, first off, we got Carlos Rodon, 40% owned, 7,500. He is my probably favorite pitcher on this slate. I think he is starting to figure it out. Look, he faced Tampa Bay, faced Houston, only let up 2 runs versus both of them. At 7,500, if he just does that, he's in a great spot, but he's versus much worse competition. And he does have that 30% K rate over his last 20. I think he is starting to become that guy again. The strikeouts are coming back. K rate is up to 23% over his last 5. It's just a matter of time, but I think he is working back into shape now. Combined K rate at 25% at 7,500 is interesting. 2.1x makes a lot of sense. Next, we got Max Fried. 40% owned. Look, Fried was absolutely dominant last time out versus the Dodgers. I think he is a very, very good pitcher. One of the better ones in the game. He has got a low FIP, low 3s FIP, 25% K rate over his last 5, 24.4% over his last 20. The combined K rate of 24% is a little low at his price, but can't really get too choosy on a slate of this size. So I think he is interesting. The one thing I will say is that the best hitting weather on the day is in Atlanta with pretty high temps and some wind going out. But St. Louis, 294 ice or WOBA versus lefties. They aren't as good versus lefties. They also strike out more, and they haven't been good versus Fried over the last couple of games. So I think Fried makes a lot of sense. Quintrall, I think he's going a little over owned, 5,300. The Angels are a decent offense these days, and his StatCast data is pretty ugly. But he is just working back from the IL, and a lot of their StatCast data is, or his last 5 start data is pretty bad because some of those last 5 starts, he got shelled right before he was hurt. So now he's back, looks good, went well his first start. You know, even over his last 5, his FIP is still 4.28, so he definitely got extremely unlucky. He is a good pitcher, just no strikeout upside. And for DFS, we need that. So that's a no for me. Assad has been pretty good the last 2 games. 3.69 FIP, 3.84 over the last 20. Not much strikeout upside, but he is a solid pitcher, and we have the wind coming in today and not out like it was yesterday, so should help pitching quite a bit here. Zach Little, you know, he was looking okay, but kind of got shelled last time. That FIP is pretty high. ERA is high. Not a ton of strikeout upside. Not really loving Little versus a very hot Seattle lineup. Luis Castillo, no idea why he is going so low owned. He is expensive, but 17% owned on a small slate is kind of nice with his upside. The issue here is he is much worse away, 36% less fantasy points away. And Tampa's a decent offense, as we know. They do strike out at 24%, though. Over his last 5 starts, his K rate has dipped a little bit, 22% versus 26%, and the StatCast data is a little sketchy, but he's still my favorite pivot, and LineStar has him at 2x value, even at the 11K salary, so I think he is a little bit interesting. At bare minimum, Davis Daniel is a little interesting, and I think that he is going to get a lot more love as the day progresses, and I definitely would consider rostering the young man. Eduardo Rodriguez is another pivot option. He is decent, and Yankees are striking out 25% versus lefties. However, they're also very good versus lefties. 182 ISO, 333 WOBA. Their lineup has been a little scary lately, but he is a nice low price option. Ryan Pepboy is also a little interesting here. He's got a little K upside. He's been good. 3.19 FIP over his last 5. 21% combined K rate. LineStar is liking him. 2.1x. And, you know, Miami is just not that great of an offense versus righty, so I think he does make some sense as well. The one thing I will say is that they're holding him to around 80 pitches, so he doesn't have a huge upside. Griffin Canyon's going pretty much low owned. There is some confusion about who is going to start right now. We're not sure if it is Canyon or Daniel. And that's why ownership is popping up for both of them right now. That will, you know, we'll figure that out throughout the day. And whenever it is official, we will update the LineStar platform to show that. Braxton Garrett, yeah, I don't really love it versus the Dodgers. Adam Wainwright, no. And Ryan Nelson, probably no. Now let's get into FanDuel. Carlos Rodon, 37%. He should be getting that ownership. I think his price is a little bit too low here. Fried and Castillo, both in decent spots. Fried in a little bit of a better spot here, but Castillo has some real nice ownership and is cheaper than Fried on FanDuel. So that's definitely interesting. Dodgers pitcher Poise a little interesting there, as well as Erod going almost unowned at 9,900. I think Erod is very interesting as a pivot. Now, let's jump into some stacks. All right. So, our highest owned team, by no surprise, versus Adam Wainwright is the Atlanta Braves. Waino has just been washed. He's been getting shelled left and right. And this Braves lineup is insane, so it makes a lot of sense why everybody's going there. Next highest owned, it looks like Cleveland, and we are not totally sure about who the Angels will be throwing out. But Cleveland obviously makes some sense versus either pitcher. Highest projected, Atlanta is just running away with it. Nobody is within almost 7 points or 8 points of first or of the highest projected. So next comes Seattle, who has been very hot lately, going way under owned, versus Little, who hasn't been great. So it makes some sense there. Do like that. Dodgers versus Braxton Garrett also makes some sense. Great lineup, and Garrett is just meh. And then, value wise, what do we got? We got Cleveland. They are extremely cheap. This Angels situation, they've thrown in the towel. We don't really know what's going to happen as far as the pitching situation yet. I think you can absolutely make a case for them. St. Louis could be another leverage options. Fried is going pretty high owned and really nice hitting weather, so it does make some sense going there. Detroit is another leverage situation. Rodon is super high owned on both platform. So Detroit does make some sense. And Rodon hasn't been great this year. 6.94 FIP over his last 5 starts. Does make some sense to try that leverage stack with Detroit. Ceiling wise, we know it's going to be the Braves. We know it's going to be Seattle. Yep, they're all over it. So that's kind of the breakdown today. Just make sure we didn't miss anything. So Cubs are coming in at the second highest implied total. Didn't talk about them. And then Yankees are right there also. And both Cubs and Yankees are going to be super low owned. So both are kind of interesting. I do like the Cubs a little more than Yankees. I think Erod is a very good pitcher now. So that'll do it. One of the things we will definitely need to show is there is a 1.5 run gap between the Braves and everybody else. So Braves are going to be very chalky. You can try and get a little different with that by using more of the back end of the lineup guys. And then if you do that, still probably get a little different on at pitcher. All right. Good luck today. We will be back tomorrow for the big slate. You all have a good night. Good luck. And see you tomorrow. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the video too. Thanks. Bye.